clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 8th day of June. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Lindo's. I'm Jamal Hartman. Good morning, Kales.
Good morning, Jamal. How are you today?
I'm okay, thanks. I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little tired. Woke up, did not want to get up, stayed in bed about 15 minutes longer. But I'm good. Got my coffee, hot coffee today.
You come across like one of those people who gets right up. I don't know, an extra 15, huh?
I don't know. Today was just like, because usually it's like 5:50 and I'm like, okay, alarm, give myself 2 seconds to get myself together. Let me do my workout. All right, let me do my meditation and then get myself together. And I did not do the workout, but I did the meditation. So I'm like,
You got something in. You got
yes,
something.
yes.
Makes sense. Thank you all so much for making us part of your daily routine. It's another good one today as we have activist and unionist Linda Bogle-Mienzer stopping by for a conversation, one you don't want to miss. Always love have a good chat with Linda. The daily play is say it, don't sing it.
Oh gosh.
Kale's got this one last week. I think it was Alicia Keys' Superwoman.
It was.
She got this one last week, so she's pretty good at this game. If you haven't seen Michaela in action, folks, she's a smart one. We can't get much over on her. So we might get her this morning. Stick with me. I think she might get it. But a lot to discuss today. A lot to discuss.
Yes.
Where do we start? So I came across a conversation that really made me think about this, about a gentleman, and we'll probably get into this conversation with Sister Linda as well. But a comedian gentleman who's been on this show. Basically looked at the U.S. and said, why aren't Bermudian companies changing the color of their logos to represent Pride Month and so on? And then there's been articles about Black Lives Matters, a year on from the George Floyd stuff and so on. And the question to the audience today is, have you felt any different? What are your thoughts on symbolism? And what I mean by symbolism is, do you care whether or not someone changes their logo to represent Pride or Black Lives Matter, any of that stuff? Because, Kales, I usually let everyone go first, but I'm heated about this one. Let me just slip it in. I honestly, as I said to this gentleman, is a tough one. I could care less whether somebody changes a logo of a color. I could care less if someone wears a rainbow shirt. I could care less if someone wears Black Lives Matter and a company says we support this equality. I already told you all. I don't support equality. You all can have it. I want justice.
Yeah, no. So like for me, I absolutely support Pride Month. You'll probably never see me put up a rainbow profile photo. You'll probably never see me put things like that in my Instagram. I knew what it meant to be gay before a lot of people, because when I was when I was 7 or 8, my uncle was gay, and he died when I was 9. And so I knew all of that before I really should have, I guess, because it was just a lot. It was very complex because he died of HIV, and it was very complex to know all of that at such a young age. So I unequivocally support the LGBTQ plus community, but I don't feel like I need to walk around waving a rainbow flag, if that makes sense.
Well, no,
Um,
it's not cut match. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah.
I mean, for me, because I think it's only fair if I say why that I don't support it, tell you what I do, and this is what I said. I'm
Okay.
interested. For me, I don't want a company waving flags and changing colors for me. I want them to use their power to change legislation for me. Speak to
Yeah.
these politicians, and that's the word. So I'm saying, no, I get you all about the symbolism. And Monica Dunstan has a comment here. Personally, no, I don't care about logo changes, but symbolism in general can be very powerful, especially on the subconscious. I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
But you know what's more powerful? What companies haven't been doing. It's lazy and easy to change your logo right now. It's lazy and easy to put Black Lives Matter and all these quotes up. But let's go back. I'm not a journalist, but let's go back and ask ourselves, all these companies that came out in support of Black Lives Matter last year, what has changed within their company? Now, I have a bunch of articles to reference because I see Curb and ABIC have said a lot of stuff as of late on it, right? But I honestly, personally, this is what I've seen from some big companies as I read through LinkedIn. They've hired a chief diversity officer.
And it's a Black person.
A Black person, right? So they created these positions, right? That's one. Two, they've created what they're called. They've created diversity focus groups.
Of
right?
course.
Yep,
Of course.
Right? So they're filling out, they're ticking these boxes.
Yeah.
But what about the culture of the company and organization?
And that's the thing about it. So you know that I'm in the online business space, online marketing. And last year during Black Lives Matter, there was a whole big controversy. Like the big online marketing people took L's. Like they took L's because the big people in the online marketing industry are white. There's quite a number of white women. So there's like Marie Forleo. She has a program called B School that thousands of people have bought. She's made tens of millions of dollars off of it. And then there's Amy Porterfield. She's also in the online marketing space, very wealthy as a result of it. And then there's another woman, Jenna Kutcher, same kind of vibe. And B School, for instance, they have a private Facebook group for the students. And a couple of the Black students started a thread about Black Lives Matter, and the white students in the space reported them. And instead of Marie Forleo as the leader of her community saying, I'm going to allow this to happen, no, her people shut it down and didn't respond to anyone for 48 hours. And the whole disclaimer was, oh, it's the weekend. And so that was like a huge thing. And then it's just, for me, I just don't have time for it. If before George Floyd died, you didn't think it was important to have Black people in positions of power in your company, if you didn't think it was important to hire Black people in roles that aren't entry level or admin, reception, etc., you talking about Black Lives Matter is like, that's doing nothing for me. Like you could put up a logo, you could send out an email, you could do all these things, but if your C-suite is all white men or even white men and maybe 2 white women, I'm not here for it. I am not here for it at all.
Chaos, I want to add to what you're saying, because this may be offensive to some, but if that C-suite does have the token, let's be honest. Let's be honest. It's still not addressing the overall culture and the problem. So let's go to some comments, right? Because James Birch makes a great point. Symbolism can show support, but also can cover up the inherent injustices. And that's my point right there, folks. You know what I'm saying? It's like I saw companies and people that I know, I probably can't say or prove, but I'm confident they have some racist ideals and they're comfortable in them, but it was popular last year. It's popular right now for a company to change its logo to rainbow and act like they're a friend and this and that. No. Dr. Claude Anderson, the author of Powernomics, he says it all the time, right? No, what Black folks need to do, right, is, you know what? Negotiate your vote. You need to use your power to get what you want and go to these politicians. And that, to me, I understand, you all feel the support from symbolism. Me as a Black man, I can care less what you say. I can care less what color shirt you wear. I don't even like wearing logos on my shirts.
Yeah.
Like I'm just not that person. But folks, symbolism allows these corporate organizations and businesses to hide who they really are. Carla John Kills.
Sure. In the beginning, I loved seeing rainbow flags because it made me feel more accepted as a gay woman. But now it's so ubiquitous that it feels performative. Yes.
And that takes us right to Sean Smith. I do not care if the company does or does not change its logos. Most companies do it for marketing. So this goes back to a conversation we had earlier. It's like it's become this PR thing, and now Burger King is warring with Chick-fil-A. Like this is, folks, it's not about us. When it's not about Black people, or it's not about the gay people. It's not about like minority people. It's about companies trying to find a way to leverage something.
Yeah, they're leveraging social justice issues to make themselves more palatable. That's what it is. But at the end of the day, I feel that there is still a level of responsibility. If you have a company and all your employees look like you and you happen to be a white person, don't sit here and tell me Black Lives Matter. Don't sit here and tell me you're woke. Don't sit here and tell me you're down for the cause. If you, for instance, like for me as a Black woman, it is very important for me to support fellow Black businesses. So my doctor, my dentist, my hairdressers, my kids' doctors, all the products I buy, my makeup, my skincare, jewelry, etc., they come from Black-owned businesses, whether it's the business who's creating the product or the business who's selling the product, because it's very important for me, because I know that there are a lot of non-Black people who don't think like that. They don't think, oh, let me do this. No, they don't. So don't be hashtagging Black Lives Matter and this and that and pretending you're woke. I mean, I could go on and on and on about this because I have a lot of opinions.
Conversation.
But it's just, it infuriates me because it is ultimately with bigger companies, it is a marketing thing. And as a marketing person, I can tell you, they sit down and they have these conversations, and that's what it is.
The question for the audience: what changes do you want to see out of these kind of things, and how do we get there? Let's go back to the audience. Kales Elmore.
Sure.
Oops. There we go.
I don't know how to say that. Salamte? Salamte, I guess. Daily Hour team. Diversity is a bunch of crap. Can't take your slogans no more.
Tamara Richardson says, when symbols become seasons, meaning merchandise is more for sale, the message gets lost. People think showing the symbol is support without actually changing their actions or their corporate culture. That's my point. That's all I'm trying to say, folks. Like, miss me with the colors of a logo, miss me with the BLM. Like, I legit, I'm just not down with the Black Lives Matter movement right now, because for me, I have not seen in the space of a year, maybe it has, but I've said this before, I haven't felt any real change. And I'll look at a Bermuda context, right? If we had a conversation with the people who led the march on Front Street, I would love to ask them, what have we seen that's changed to the benefit of the people that you marched in honor of? Like, how did we measure it, right?
Right. Yeah, that's a bit sticky because there were some issues after that march, because I'm sure you'll recall they called for boycotts of grocery stores with no context, no reasons. And so I think their message got a little watered down, if you will. But you're right. I don't think anything has changed.
Elizabeth says, selling rainbow themed items is a huge market nowadays. I logged on to Target and was amazed at how much Pride stuff they had for sale. Makes you wonder. Shika Reyna, are the companies that are using the symbolism to sell products directly directing those profits towards improving the internal cultures? Well, that's a question. That's a question.
I mean, I do know that some of the products, some of the merch does benefit certain LGBTQ charities and groups. But like when we talk about company culture, for instance, these companies who are changing their logos, pushing pride, if a gay couple decides to have a child, are they both allowed maternity, paternity leave? You know, like, because that would make more of a difference than putting up a rainbow flag or on a logo. Are they getting the exact same benefits as hetero couples. Like those are the things in the company culture that, you know, would be things to look at and things to actually change, rather than, oh, I'm going to put up a logo and maybe on the 1st of June, we're going to have rainbow cookies and cupcakes in the office for everyone to celebrate Pride. But then if you're secretly actually not helping, you know, or creating an environment where LGBTQ people feel accepted, loved, and can be themselves, then why are we doing this?
Well, you know, it goes right back to, let's go to Michelle White. She says, to use Carla John's word, it feels performative. One should be able to work, use services, or join a company and feel valued. And end up the comments with Terry Stewart says, circulating the black dollar is extremely important, and I concur. I'll say this much, Kales, and bring Leanna into the convo now, because we have Sister Linda coming on, and since Sister Linda is from the BPSU, and I know that, you know, in her new role, which we'll discuss, there are things that, you know, this conversation probably relates to very well, and my hope is that in her role, she's able to, again, I don't even know what the role is, so, but I'm just hopeful that it's a role that she can actually, you know, enforce some of the things, or suggest some of the things that we're talking about, because I'm sick of symbolism, you all. I have not seen enough progress in my lifetime to get happy about symbolism. Progress to me is being in the room with politicians who pass legislation and policy and leveraging. Look, hey, I'm a black man. For too long, we've been forced to do this. This is what's going to happen if we don't get what we want. Oh, well, you're just not going to vote. Okay, well, cool. We're not going to vote. I mean, having been involved in something which is conscription, I'm serious about my beliefs. And I will say, I do have a lot of respect for the LGBT fight, because, you know, they've gone the route of the courts as well, right? Like it or not, agree or not, you got to rate it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I just think, unfortunately, a lot of times us Black people, they'll give us this much and we're like, yay. And I'm like, no, like, this is not enough.
Well, both of you are Black women, right? And I want to highlight Black women in some respects. And I really do not like this term, but it is a generic term used in mainstream. In many respects, you'll be considered minorities, right?
Well, not in Bermuda.
Right. Some places you will be, and let's just say worldwide. Do you feel that enough has been done for you both to succeed in the spaces that you're in?
You want to take it, Lee?
Well, honestly, I was going to say, like, I feel both you guys' passion when it comes to this subject. It's something that I've always felt very strongly about. And just before I answer that question, I would just say, you know, in, I guess we could say, the younger generation terminology, I'm not here for the clout. Like, I feel like people are just doing it just to, you know, get recognition. Oh, we support them. But I've learned at a very young age a slogan that stuck with me going through my adulthood, and that's, don't speak about it, be about it, you know? So I'm a person that loves change. Getting back to your question, as a Black woman, I feel like the needle has been raised, like the bar has been raised, where we're able to now perform at the standards and, you know, at the quality that I feel that we bring to the table. Just going back to what you said, though, you know, there's so much more to be done, though. There's so much more that can be done.
No, I agree with you, Lee. I think that as a Black woman in Bermuda, I definitely have it a little bit easier than my fellow Black women in the US or maybe even the UK. But at the same time, in Bermuda, you don't see Black women at the head of the table in most companies. You don't see Black women in the C-suite, maybe one. You know what I mean? So I feel like there's still a long way to go in that respect, unless you start your own business and create your own board, which I'm a big fan of. But it's just, I still think it's still underrepresented, especially when you talk about Black women are way more educated than Black men. And yet we're still not given that same footing.
Well, I thought it's the stats that we were struggling to get a hold of at one point, but we aren't Black women in Bermuda, and I could be wrong, correct me, aren't they more above black men. Is the reports that I saw statistics had black men at the lowest, not black women in Bermuda context. So it was white men, white women, black women, and then black men at the bottoms. But I take your point. I just feel when we're looking at most vulnerable in a Bermuda sense, I would say that from a job perspective, professional, I would say black men are at the bottom. However, I take your point because I can probably name more black men in top positions than black women. So I take your
point. That's the thing. I don't agree with that. Just because of the fact that a black woman, if you're uneducated, you're likely to be in a cashier, receptionist, admin type position and not making enough money. Whereas if you're a black man and you're not educated, you can rise up the ranks in a construction company, for instance.
Got you.
Out in education and make great money.
I thought immediately, I was like, you know what? I thought landscaping, for instance. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
Look, I'm getting educated, but you know what I'm saying? You don't come here with all the answers. You come for information. So look, we're going to go to news break. Looking forward to our convo after with Sister Linda Mienzer. I'm sure going to be a good one. You want to tune in, folks. You want to tune in. Sister Linda is good people. Lee, over to you.
Thanks, Jamala, Michaela, and good morning to everyone that's tuned in with us. And happy International Dark and Stormy Day to those who don't know. I hope everyone is having a great start to their day. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for the Daily Hour News Break. So here's what's going on in today's top stories. Despite the 3 new cases reported just 2 days ago, it seems as if the island is back on track as Bermuda's COVID-19 risk rating was yesterday downgraded by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, and it records another COVID-free day. Now, the island is now classified as level 2, which is moderate, down from level 4, which was very high, and a travel advisory on the organization's website. The CDC raised Bermuda's rating in April after a massive increase in cases, but there has been only a handful of positive results from the thousands of tests carried out in the last 2 weeks. The active number of infections has also dropped from a high of 904 in mid-April to just 9 in the latest update, but the island remained on the UK's amber list, which means that travelers from Bermuda have to still undergo a 10-day quarantine. Meanwhile, Bermuda's stockpile of the COVID-19 vaccine has all but run out with no plan in place to replenish supplies. Government last night did not say how many doses of the Pfizer vaccine had been administered as first doses. Now, the Pfizer vaccine does expire at the end of this month, meaning first doses of the vaccine had to be delivered by yesterday because the second dose must be given in 3 weeks at the latest. Any vaccines not needed for second doses will now have to be disposed of. Now, Opposition One Bermuda Alliance Health spokesperson Michael Dunkley said the news was quote-unquote worrying and called on the Bermuda government to clarify what the plan was moving forward, as there still was a way to go to reach herd immunity. However, last night, UK officials confirmed that there were no immediate plans to provide Bermuda with further supplies of the COVID-19 vaccine. As of Friday, 53.8% of the population, which was around 34,700 people, were classified as immunized, having had 2 doses of the vaccine. The Raleigh Alumni Relief Team recently organized a giving day where they gave out toiletries, fresh fruits, and vegetables to alumni and their families. Raleigh project managers were successful in helping provide hampers for 131 people, which included alumni and their family members. A spokesperson said that Raleigh Bermuda was well known for its alumni program in the community and recognized for having one of the highest retention rates of young people on the island. The charity nurtures and fosters relationships with young people to support them as they transition into adulthood, providing them with life skills that help young people become independent, confident, and leaders in our community. Now, to date, Raleigh has over 170 alumni between the ages of 18 and 35 years old. And Bermuda's national team walked away with a draw last evening following their match against Cayman Islands in the World Cup qualifying Group B match at the IMG Academy complex in Bradenton, Florida. Now, after an hour delay due to rain, the match kicked off with Bermuda goalkeeper Val being called upon twice inside of a minute to deny the Cayman Islands from taking the lead, but he could do nothing in the 23rd minute when their opponents beat the offside trap, scoring the first goal. In the 65th minute, Cole Hall would equalize for Bermuda. The young Bermuda team would have to consider themselves lucky on the night, as Cayman missed several chances to get themselves the winner in the second half. Now, Bermuda were knocked out of the running for a place in the second round of qualifying by a 6-0 loss away to Suriname last Friday, but they have secured third place in the five-nation group with victory over the Canadians. Cayman Islands are both at the bottom of the group with 3 defeats in their matches. Looking at today's weather, there is a high of 81 and a low near 74 degrees. There is a mix of sun and cloud with a chance of an early road shower. High pressure maintains the largely fine and dry weather for the moment, with mostly light winds. Now, towards the end of the week, the high begins to break down as an area of low pressure develops towards the north of the island. Now, this low will bring strengthening winds and the increased likelihood of a few showers. That's all for the Daily Hour news break. Let's head back to Jamal and Michaela in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
You know, I just want to say something regarding the score 1-1 with Cayman Islands. Fact check me on this, but I'm pretty sure that's the same country that Bermuda beat 13-1 not too long ago. And if that's the case, there's some questions that need to be asked and answered. Lee, thanks so much for that. We will see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, guys.
All righty. We're going to take a quick break. Don't forget, we're going to have the movement moment coming up with a very important conversation once we're done with Sister Linda. We're talking about the sun. The sun. So don't go anywhere. It's important. It's an important convo. We're going to have a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with Sister Linda Bogle-Mienzer of the BPSU.
Hi, I'm Karen, a nurse at the old folks home. These long hours used to kill my feet until my hairdresser told me about a great place to buy a pair of clogs. Medical House. Finally, relief. They also carry uniforms in bright, bold colors. And not to mention the support stockings.
Karen, Miss Soltis bet her bet again.
Oh gosh, these days, I need all the support I can get.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke.
We're spotlighting our old friends Woodstock Farms, who started up 50 years ago in the belief that we need more trustworthy natural food sources. Starting with one product, their line, mostly certified organic, is now more than 250 strong in 10 categories. This month we're featuring accoutrements of the barbecue, for us the pinnacle of home cuisine and one of the few forms of restorative recreation now within our reach. Try Woodstock Organic Sweet Relish, Tomato Ketchup, Baby Kosher Dill Pickles, Sauerkraut, and Hickory and Original Barbecue Sauce. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back to the big show, Michaela, and I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House One Communications, Lindo's, and our friends over at Channel 82, where you can stream this and many other locally produced shows. Hey, there's some really good locally produced shows. We have Sister Linda in the wings. Let's bring Sister Linda Bogle-Mienzer. Okay, we're just gonna bring her in because I need to know whether or not I've been pronouncing her name without asking her all these years, right? And it's like, I've never asked her.
I don't even know if it's right. I'm not sure.
I hope she tells me off. You know what? If I haven't pronounced it right, I hope she tells me off for this reason. If you call me Jamal, not Jamal, if you spell my name Jamal and not Jamal, I'm happy.
Yeah, I noticed that you ignored that in an interview we had last week where we were called Jamal, and I was like, oh. Yeah,
let's put Sister Linda in case don't throw any shade on me. Sister Linda Bogle-Mienzer, welcome to the show. Do you need to correct me?
I absolutely need to correct you. But here's the thing. Prior to getting married, I gave people all these passes about my name. But your wife ain't having that, Jamal. Okay? Just like get it right. Yeah. So it's Mienzer.
Mienzer. Okay.
And I am pronouncing Bogle right, because that's the other one. I'm like, it looks like Bogle. It's Bogle, right? Like,
it's Bogle. It's like circle Bogle.
Okay. That's all it is, right? Bogle like that, like.
Yeah.
Honestly, thank you so much for coming on. Obviously, what we talked about.
Hold on. Is that too much for you?
Oh, you got your symbolism going? No, hold on. Let's be clear. See, Sister Linda is not. She's not a symbol, folks. She's not a symbol as in terms of let's put up a token or whatnot. This is an activist, and this is what I'm saying. If you're gonna have the symbols, okay, cool, but let's see the work and the results too. You see too many companies out here with the symbols, and I don't want to pick on some because last year I was picking on some, and they started responding via social media and apparently doing things. Now, the reason I'm not going to pick on them, I have not followed up, done my due diligence to say whether or not anything has changed. But I think it's important that we're having this conversation with you because you recently left the Bermuda Police Service, correct?
I did.
And you worked in a civilian-like position. First off, what did you do there, and how did you? Because I remember when the first Pride Parade happened in Bermuda, you were, excited. The police, I wouldn't say represented. They were well supportive. I think is the term I want to use. What did that feel like for you, Sister Linda?
Well, listen, after 25 years, the work has been slow. But what that marked for me is this incredible hug that they gave myself and the people of the LGBT community, but also their own serving members who for so long had felt that it wasn't a place where they could bring their whole selves to work, right? And sometimes the work that needs to be done doesn't get advertised, but the work is done inside, in the interior, when we hold our employers and these businesses and these boardrooms and these CEOs accountable to do the work. And so I'm like you, listen, I love the rainbow flag. I love all of that, all of the rainbows, everything Pride. I love it. But if it isn't supported by the work, then I'm not the person to talk to. I need to see the work. But I also understand, right? For a person that doesn't have the acknowledgement of their sexuality, doesn't feel brave enough to stand up for that space and be seen, seeing these symbols means something. It does mean something, right? And I think that's what we're seeing is, even though I know it's based on capitalism, but it's saying to those kids that were like me, we see you, but now there's adults like me who are in these spaces, have to let them know it's more about seeing. It requires action.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I love how you brought up the fact that people who might not be brave enough see the flag, see the logos, and then it makes them feel, a certain way. So how did you get involved in the BPSU, and like, what's your role there?
Okay, so I was kicked into the BPSU. Let's be honest. But
hold on. I've heard about people getting kicked out. But this is going to be good.
Listen, I was kicked in, and it started out of tragedy, right? When we lost our sister Gladys Saunders in Fabian. She was the shop steward for the BPSU at the Bermuda Police Service at that time, representing the station duty officers. That was my role, station duty officer. I'm that person that you see as soon as you walk in the door and you give all your complaints to, right? And when Sister Gladys died, we had to consider someone else to take up the role, right? And so I was like, I'm not that person. At the time, believe it or not, I was extremely shy and very reserved and conservative.
Really?
I'm not that person. And I went to a meeting one day, and person said, "Yeah, Linda, you're it." I'm like, "Me? Why me?" "Well, we've seen you act up occasionally, and we think you'll be good at the job." So they just said I'm the person, sent my name through, And that's how my career started. And so I moved from there. See, I'm an all-in person, right? When I show up, I show up. And so I said, if I'm going to show up as a representative for the station duty officers, I'm going to make sure that I do the very best. I took that personally. That's my personal responsibility. And from there, I moved up to the chairperson of our division, on to sit on various committees, so various positions, to my current position in the BPSU, which is the second vice president.
So what does that role as the second vice president involve? Like, what are you doing on a day-to-day?
On a day-to-day, I'm doing grievance handling. I'm doing orientation. I'm doing always representing workers' rights and disciplinary at the decision-making table, at executive, making decisions of what our union's vision looks like, our strategic plan. It's a constant. It means that when you're vested in it, you can't even walk in the grocery store and be trying to get groceries, and one of your members see you. You are just the person I was hoping to run into in the grocery store. I'm like, really? It's a constant, right? And it's about showing up for workers all the time. But recently, having gotten married, I have to find that, that balance to get that honey-do list in there too. And so, yeah.
No, I totally get that. So tell us, what's one myth about Bermuda's unions that you'd like to dispel?
That we always accept everything that the workers say, no matter what.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Can you give us a little explanation on that? Because I think people kind of think, it's a little different.
And let me just say something, because there was just an article, and we don't have to get specifically into the situation, but there was an article yesterday in the Royal Gazette where a BPSU worker had lost their job, according to the report, due to drinking on the job. And so, some people may say, well, that's not normal because union workers don't get fired, right? That's the idea, right? Yeah. But yeah, what are some examples?
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. We are mandated to represent workers' rights, but we represent those workers through our collective bargaining agreement, our policies and procedures, the acts that govern us, the Occupational Health and Safety, the Trade Union, the Labor Act, right? If you fall into any of those things and you're on the right track, we're good. But if you're not on the right track, we also have a responsibility to represent the integrity of our union and our collective bargaining agreements. And members, certainly the ones that speak to me, and our union has been very clear on this, we're firm on that. For example, let's talk about bullying and harassment, right? We've always had this position. We have a zero tolerance for bullying and harassment. And if another, say, worker is bullying another worker, and we go through the grievance process, and that worker is unprepared to change, and all the evidence suggests that they are a continuous offender, and we work with them, we mitigate the circumstances to ensure that they get all the help. At some point, people make it clear they don't want to continue to work.
Yeah.
Right. And so it is our responsibility to have those real conversations with our members, because we have a standard and an expectation for membership. We have a standard and expectation for all workers. And every worker has the fundamental right to come into the workplace and be free of bullying and harassment.
Yeah, no, ooh, sorry about that. No, absolutely. So what do you say to people who feel that unions hold the island hostage when they don't get their way? Because I know this has been said for a long time, and I used to cover union strikes when I was a reporter. So I'm really interested to hear your answer.
Hold the island hostage.
I just remember that came up just before America's Cup. I want to say it was a bus strike, and people were upset. And I mean, that was 4 years ago. I know things have happened since then.
Unions don't strike unless necessary. We exhaust every one of the policies and procedures in place to get to a resolution. If we are unable to get to a resolution, we have the right to use our collective power. It's not about holding the country hostage. It's about the use of collective power when necessary. We want resolutions. I can tell you, and anybody who knows me knows I come to the table and I'm got a list of resolutions in my hand. And obviously, the employer, the stakeholder, they come and they should come with a list of resolutions in their hand. And we should be able to meet in the middle for a win-win. When that is impossible, then we have every right to use our collective power.
Yeah, no, I get it. I absolutely understand it. So tell us, how does being a member of the LGBTQ community help you in your role?
I think people get from me integrity and honesty. When I show up as my whole self, I come with honesty, right? It is something about, and I'm trying to think of an example that somebody, can give. I don't know. Say Jamal really wanted to be a ballet dancer, right? That's just an example. Stop imagining him in a tutu.
You see me, right?
But say that he genuinely always wanted to be a ballet dancer. But because of the stigmas attached to it, every time, he was invited to the ballet, he's like, no, I'm not going to a ballet, right? But inwardly, he always wanted to be a ballet dancer. And finally, he met another a male that he looked up to, who came on Instagram and was rocking the ballet outfit and doing the actually, when Mark Daniels was doing the ballet with his daughter, right? Remember that video?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, men were like, okay, right? When you feel comfortable enough to be your entire self and you carry that with you, people feel that when they speak to you, they're going to get the truth. And I think for as a unionist, that is critical. As an activist, that is critical. Sometimes my truth isn't palatable, but that's what you're going to get. And I believe that's what people really want, even though they may not want to hear it, they want to know that when they came to you, they've got the truth. And so when they know that I say something, and when I tell them you absolutely have a valid grievance, they know it to be true. When I tell them I'm going to fight for you, they know it to be true. So I'm the type of person that they know I can go in the room by myself without anybody else, and they know that if I'm carrying their truth, I have their back. And that for me is important.
Indeed. And it's nice knowing that you can have those kind of people, because when we were fighting conscription, we didn't know who to turn to. It wasn't popular, right? So I get you from that perspective. Keeping along the lines of Pride, right? It's Pride Month. In your position and organization, I know the BPSU involved yourself as well. You're doing something, a bullying.
Bullying and harassment.
Yeah, you're doing a presentation on bullying and harassment. All right. What is the BPSU doing to encourage their members to celebrate Pride, but not just celebrate it, right? To affect the changes that people in that community would like to see?
The work that needs to be done is being done behind the scenes. The BPSU was one of the first unions on this island to create a diversity committee that actively works to recognize the diversity amongst our membership, which includes the LGBT community. The BPSU has supported me as the representative for the Caribbean, including Bermuda, on Public Service International, LGBT Worldwide Committee. Listen, it is not and will never be a comfortable, right, environment to get people to shift, to do a mind shift. But with the support of the BPSU, its executive, its secretary, and its general counsel, they have allowed me to show up with support. I can guarantee you that my executive is watching right now with support and pride, right? When I ran for the second vice president, of course, there were some people that said, listen, we have a very conservative membership. You really may not want to talk a lot about your sexuality because people would feel uncomfortable. Well, you know how that went, right?
That's not your problem. Not your problem at all.
I'm sorry.
Didn't
Get
go. Yeah. And so, but I can't do that if I don't have a safe environment.
Right.
And the BPSU provides a safe environment for its membership. It's not easy, right? It's not easy, but we are doing the internal work. And I have no doubt that our diversity committee will also make themselves known and put something together during Pride Month. We do it all the time. But what we do that is most important is we do not discriminate against workers and workers' rights, regardless of what community you represent. That is our mandate, and we will hold any organization accountable who discriminates against our workers.
If you have any questions or comments for Sister Linda, please share. We don't have much time left, but I have a personal question. You seem a strong person. You have taken on roles that some people like just would never. They're not easy. They're not easy positions to take. I know, if all things being honest, when we were going through our own stuff, it was stressful. Your blood pressure's risen. You're not in a healthy state. How do you manage to remain in a healthy state that you can be healthy enough to help others?
My wife. Don't tell I gave all this credit. But no, hang on. In all honesty, I'm glad you asked that question. Sometimes people accuse me of making being an openly gay activist look easy, but it isn't. It is a lot. And if I did not have the support of my wife on a daily basis, sometimes I come home, I'm just so drained, and I'm still getting messages. Hey, can you do this? Can you do that? And sometimes my wife just takes the phone out of my hand and just hugs me. Just hugs me. To be able to come home in that space, right? And know that you have somebody who genuinely supports you. And if you know my wife is shy, right? My wife wasn't ready for everything that's Linda. She wasn't. But love and her love for me pushed her past all of those things. That is Linda. Even when Linda said, listen, my bucket list is to have a puppy. My wife was definitely afraid of dogs. She was like, I know about this this marriage thing, right? But my wife loves me so much. She went for therapy for months in order to get over her fear of dogs so that we can have a puppy. And I was able to get my puppy last year. So imagine my surprise earlier this year, when my wife came and said, I think, Raylove, our puppy, needs a brother.
Oh, wow.
I was like, who are you, lady? Who are you? Right. But I tell you that story to talk about what love is and what it looks like. And when you have somebody that wraps that around you on a daily basis, you can do the things outside. That's how you get your balance. I have my family support. I have the support of my friends. And my friends show up for me. My family shows up for me. I am blessed in that way, because the reality is everybody doesn't have that.
Yeah. No,
everybody doesn't have that.
I love how you acknowledge and admit that it's a lot. It's a lot, and you couldn't do it if it were not for the support system. I love that, because there's so many people who try to downplay that. And I love how you talk about you need to show up 100% as yourself, because so many people don't do that. So many people are willing to dim their light for other people, and you're not. You're like shining. Like,
Yeah, I'm not
in everybody's face. I love it. It's just so authentic and beautiful.
When I show up as like, I get fired and what's it called, and arrested and locked up. But go ahead.
No, listen. You know, even when I'm invited somewhere, or if I've asked to host something or give a speech, I ask the person, you know, I bring my whole self, right? You're gonna get my whole self, and it's incredibly powerful. I know that a lot of people can't do that as Black people. We can't always show up as ourselves, right? And inside of the LGBT community, racism is a problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And I'm prepared to have those real conversations. Yep. It's uncomfortable, but hey, I show up as myself. And earlier you talked about these corporations and they throw up the symbols and the Black Lives Matter. And then when all the hype is gone, when Pride Month's over, you go back to your own, right? It is for those of us who are brave enough to hold them accountable and also to show up, whether it's palatable or not.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
To show up. And when we show up, sometimes it's uncomfortable.
And I like it because I love the whole I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And I like to say I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm somebody's glass of champagne because I'm going to be regardless.
We have to run. But I want to say this. As much as I love the love story, you're putting pressure on people when it comes to dogs. And so, Sister Linda, we appreciate you. But if after the show's over, and I get more pressure about some puppy, you and I have got to have a conversation.
Yeah, we're in the same boat, Jamal. Same thing going on in the house. And I'm like, ugh.
Listen, I'm putting so much pressure on you. I take my dog out on us with dates. My dog goes to certain restaurants, and when they come in, the people say, I will put the chicken breast on, because I know that's what the puppies are having. The pressure is coming.
Sister Linda, honestly, it's such a pleasure having you. Seriously, over a year, we finally had you on. A lot more to discuss. We can talk about so many different things. So, looking forward to having you back on to continue the conversation, because the truth is that progress does not stop.
Absolutely.
And conversations have to continue. So, congratulations on your new full-time role at the BPSU. I'm sure there's a huge void to fill at BPS. And look, give your wife, give your puppies all regards. They're not getting any cousins out of Michaela and myself. They're not.
Easy now.
Thank you for trusting our platform, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you. Absolutely. And shout out to all of our 3,000 plus BPSU members, certainly our executive, our president, Brother Armel Thomas, our General Secretary, Kevin Grant, our First Vice President, Lalisha, Third Vice President, Nadine, Ashley Smith, our Secretary, and Shakia Smith, our Recording Secretary, and our staff at the Secretariat, who we could not do it without them. So shout out to them and our fantastic workers.
All righty, Sister Linda Bogle-Mienzer. Sister Linda Bogle-Mienzer. I got it, folks. It took me about an hour. It took me some years. Sis, thank you so much. We'll be in touch. Talk soon.
Thank you, Linda.
Peace.
All righty, we have the movement moment, and then we'll be back with the daily play and daily inspiration. If you enjoyed that conversation with the Sister Linda, please give us a love, a thumbs up. Let us know what you thought. Awesome person, always a great conversation. Check this out, and we'll be right back.
This movement moment brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Together, we can illuminate your path to wellness.
Welcome to today's movement moment with Tamara Donnell, brought to you by People's. Tamara, what are we discussing today?
Good morning, Jamal. Today we are discussing this month's power, which is the heat, the power of the sun. We recapped last month all the different focuses for movements, 12 months of living your best life. This month, the 6th month of the year, the month of summer solstice, which is the first day of summer, we are focusing on the sun and its critical role in our healthcare. Vitamin D is synthesized on the skin when the sun hits it. Certain time of day, certain length of time for exposure is required. Your skin then, like I said, synthesizes the sun's rays into vitamin D, and your body absolutely needs that. Many of us, due to our Western lifestyles, are deficient in vitamin D. Many of us, due to the pigment in our skin, are extremely deficient in vitamin D. So something that I have been championing for most of 2021 is to know your levels. It is critical to know your vitamin D levels so that you can make a concerted effort to get more sun, or choose from some of the quality vitamin D3 supplements available at People's Pharmacy to help supplement and support the body's need for vitamin D. So this month, we intend to fully delve into the valuable role the sun plays in our lives. We all know it's the primary energy source, right? Our plants need it, our bodies need it. And living in Bermuda, where many of us live, it's really time that we make the sun a critical component of our day. So we'll talk about some of the routines we can develop. We will talk about how, if you work in an office, you can incorporate time outside seamlessly into your day. We'll also talk about some of my routines that I have implemented to make sure that I get up and go outside and play every day. The sun is that valuable to me. So I definitely wanted to make sure we spent this month focusing on that.
It's interesting you speak of the sun so highly, and we've seen so many people, especially since COVID arrived and at the back end of 2019 and in the world in 2020. But growing up, I could have sworn people almost spoke negatively about being in the sun and how we should avoid it and how we should use certain applications on our skin to protect us from it.
Thank you for tuning into this movement moment. To enjoy the benefits of the full episode, check us at Instagram at MVMT with Tamra Donnell or at People's BDA.
Bermuda Communications, we love to help businesses and organizations of all sizes various industries. Find out how we've been working with our clients to improve their customer experience and increase their revenue. Send us an email to contact at bermudacommunications.com to see how we can assist you next.
All right, welcome back to the big show. She's Michaela and I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour. Thanks again to Medical House. Thanks again to Linda's, and thanks again to One Communications and Channel 82. Also, People's Pharmacy and Movement Moment. The way that ended, and make sure you catch the rest of that on their social media. But Kales, don't you remember that we were told like the sun was bad for us so often growing up?
So I don't think the message was the sun was bad. I think the message is sun without protection is bad. So like when I go out in the sun, I make sure I have big shades on, I have a hat, I have SPF on my face every day, I douse my body, especially if, my arms are out, so that I can get the benefits, but not the skin cancer.
Yeah.
Because Black people can get skin cancer too, FYI.
Yeah, I hear you. I get you. I just always felt like it was this negative thing, like avoid the sun, but you're right. Like, no. Make sure you protect yourself when you're going out there. Here's the Daily Play, folks. Help Michaela out. She might not need your help the way she carries on. Quote, here's the song, the lyrics to the song. Here we go. I hope life treats you kind, and I hope you have all you've dreamed of.
I don't know. I know this song. I hope life treats you kind. I know this song.
Help her out, folks. I quote, I hope life treats you kind, and I hope you have all you've dreamed of.
I know this song. This is irritating me.
Somebody said the name, but what's the name of the song?
Oh,
The name of the artist.
Geez. Duh. I was belting this out on the weekend, like in my living room. And I'm sitting here like, I know these words, but I couldn't come up with the melody.
Yes, it's Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You. Obviously, Dolly Parton, it's her song first. But yes, I think a lot of people got Whitney. I got you,
Yeah,
Kels.
you did, because, and I'm as you're saying it, I'm like, I know this song, but the melody just would not come to my head, so I couldn't figure it out.
I got it, folks. Hey, I was looking forward to that. So hold up. I actually had written out. I hope life treats you kind, and I hope you have all you've dreamed of, and I wish you joy and happiness. And I'm like, no, if I
would have got that.
Right,
I would have got that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because then after that, it's like the big, like, and I.
Damn, she got a voice, folks. She got a voice. But yeah, so Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You is the answer for your daily play today. Kels, you have any daily inspiration to send us off?
I sure do. This is from Henry Ford, and this is one of my absolute favorite quotes. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. You'll never know unless you try, right? Any final thoughts on today's episode before we head out?
Put on your SPF, because it is stupid hot. You need SPF every day, whether you're going to the beach or not. You need it, because we don't want sun marks and skin cancer.
Yep. Get your vitamin D, folks. Also, big thank you once again to Sister Linda Bogle-Mienzer for coming on. Very much appreciate her. Don't forget, tomorrow, the governor of Bermuda will be in his house. Yeah, should be a good one. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, and Linda's, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. If you haven't already, please be sure to like and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Don't forget to also subscribe to our YouTube channel. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with the governor tomorrow. She's Michaela Ann. I'm Jamel Hartman. My friends, make it a great day.
This is